So today's guest is a world record holder and one of powerlifting's infamous heavy hitters. As well as his successful lifting career, he's built a streetwear brand from scratch in less than 3 years. Big Boy has surrounded himself with his loyal partners known as the Strength Cartel, which also offers a range of supplements and apparel. To hear more about what it takes to make a fitness entrepreneur and social media influencer, please welcome Big Boy from the Strength Cartel to the Escape Your Limits podcast. When did you become Big Boy then? Because your mum must have fed you some pretty good stuff.
Always been a big boy my whole life, right? Always been a big boy, and so it just came natural. You know what I mean?
Did fitness play a sort of a grounding effect in your life? So was that something that kind of brought you back to center, like we spoke off camera about, going off the rails in certain times? But what part did fitness play in your life as a teenager?
Man, I love hitting weights. Once I started working out, like I started off in, I will say, junior high, doing push-ups and pull-ups, you know what I mean? I was into trying to get stronger. Not really for fitness, but for sports, And then once I hit high school, I could see that lifting weights and getting stronger carried over to the field, you know what I mean? Could dominate players more, hit harder, just be an overall better player. So I started just working out like crazy, and I got into working out. I mean, anyone that will know me from back then always knew that, oh, okay, like he's into working out. He likes to work out. The strongest dude on the team, like those type of things, And I think naturally I was always stronger, broad shoulders, bigger back, so I had a lot more power and strength than the normal kids,
Right.
But yeah, I love working out. Working out's been a part of my life since I was like maybe 13 years old. You know what I mean?
Right.
So over more than my lifespan right now.
Yeah.
So.
And with I guess with young kids nowadays, it's easy to drift, go in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
What do you think? Fitness is something that kind of brings you into a positive place?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you got to be dedicated to get, to be strong or to be big or ripped, whatever like your goal is definitely going to take dedication and years and time, and it doesn't come overnight, you know what I mean? It's what you put in is what you're going to get out. Like, someone like me, they could say, oh, how is he so strong? He took this or he did that. No, I've been working out for about 17 years, you know what I mean? Very consistent. So it didn't happen overnight. It took years and years and years of, a lot of hard work, dedication, discipline, all that, just being consistent. So.
Yeah. And
definitely.
for sort of young teenagers, like going back to probably where you was when you was like 13, 14, 15, how much time do you have to put into getting to where you did?
How much time? I couldn't even tell you, because I like worked out as much as I could, you know what I mean? Whether it was like on the football field or in the gym, I mean, I dedicated like that time period of my life to bettering myself, you know what I mean, in the gym and out of the gym, like on the field. So I mean, that was my life back then, you know what I mean? And I definitely seen the most growth during those time periods because I was so dedicated and so much discipline, and it built like a good foundation. So it's definitely, if you want something, there's no amount of time that, I'm gonna tell you to put in. It's as much time that you want to give, and that's how much you're gonna get out,
Yeah.
So you want to put as much time as you can into this, you know what I mean? If that's what you want.
Right.
So.
When did you realize that you had a talent for the powerlifting side of things?
Powerlifting, I would say about 5 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, about 5 years ago I did my first competition. I want to say, is it 4? I will say 5. About 5 years ago, I just did my first competition just for the hell of it, you know what I mean? So.
And how did you get on?
One of the guys at the local gym that I've been working out with since I was like 14 years old, I've been working out at a local gym in San Clemente. And he's like, man, you're strong, like you should try powerlifting. I never thought of it. I just did it because I like being big, I like being strong, and I like working out. It was like a getaway. You know what I mean? For those few hours you work out, it was good for your body and your mind to just zone out and, work out. So that's all I did it for. I didn't even know about powerlifting. I had no clue what that was, I just lifted for myself to be strong. But never into the fitness. Didn't know any fitness influencers, didn't even have an Instagram, none of that. No, I knew nothing about that kind of stuff, you know? And they just told me about a competition in Long Beach at Metroflex Gym. And I went and took first, you know, surprised myself and people. And then from there, I just was like, damn, maybe this is something, you know? And I started building off that.
Right.
Yeah.
And to give people an idea of, like, you're a big guy and you probably can't realize that on camera, but to give people an idea of what sort of weight you're lifting, you know, what are some of the personal bests in, you know, deadlift, squat that you're, what weight are you moving?
So in powerlifting, you know, you have 3 judges, right? So you're being judged. So your lift is like a sanctioned lift. So then in powerlifting, you'll have 2 different. You'll have like your gym lifts, which, you know, you just lift it basically. Then you have your competition lifts. So my gym lifts, I've squatted 905 in the gym, and I squatted 904 in competition. And then bench press, you go squat, bench, dead. So bench press, I bench pressed 600 in the gym, but I've only done 589 in competition, so 11 pounds less. And then for deadlift, I've done 855 in the gym, and I've done 843 out here, or in a competition, 843 competition. So as you can tell, like, your gym lifts are always a little higher, you know, than your competitions, because, you know, if you go and squat, you're just squatting that day. You're not gonna go your max squat, your max bench press, and your max deadlift in one day, and 3 attempts on all 3, you know what I mean? So it's hard to have like a perfect carryover, a perfect day in powerlifting, you know?
That's an incredible amount of weight.
So yeah, it's not bad, man, it's not bad. Yeah.
So how much of that is, like, you've obviously got genetics, you know, not everybody's got that, but how much of that do you have to also work to go beyond what you're gifted with?
Man, like I said, this has been a lifestyle my whole life. Regardless of the situation I was in, I've always worked out, you know what I mean? So like before a competition, I usually do like a 12-week program before, you know, peaking program. And yes, those 12 weeks you better be dedicated, because not only how much effort you put in the gym, you're gonna be tearing down and breaking down your muscles. You're gonna be dying after the gym, you know. So you better be ready to recover, not going out, not trying to party or different things like that. You know what I mean? You better be dedicated to the craft you're in, or else you're gonna, you know, do shitty on the day of the meet. So just everything is just all depends how bad you want it. You know what I mean? How much work and sacrifice you're willing to put in.
Right. I know in a lot of sports, mindset plays a big part. What does that play in powerlifting, for example?
Oh, that's I would say almost 50-50, you know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, because, you know, you get under 900-pound squat, you better be ready to feel that weight, or else you're gonna be crushed, or, you know, any movement, you go too far to the right, too far to the left, front or back, you're going forward, sideways, blow out a knee, you know, blow out an arm, shoulder. So you have to have the confidence not only in yourself, but the training that you've done to bring you to that point. I have a coach that's actually on my team, and he writes my programs, and he also builds my confidence, letting me know that when I'm ready to go for that 900-pound squat, my body is ready for that time period. You just go from squatting 300 and then you think you're gonna go squat 900, you're gonna get tore up, you know what I mean? So you have to physically and mentally prepare every single lift, you know? You have any doubt in your mind, you're not gonna do that, you know? That's why a lot of people, when they lift, they let their coach pick the weight, and they don't even let the lifter know, you know what I mean? So they're not gonna be psyched out, oh, this is 50 pounds more than I've ever done, you know? Just go lift that shit, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And is there weight categories then? Are there other guys that are your size?
Yeah, I'm in super heavyweight. Right. So it's 308 and above.
Right.
So right now I'm 330, but the guys that I compete against are up to 400 pounds plus, you know? So yeah, it's no joke. They're very big guys.
And talking about the sort of genetics compared to the work you put in, do you know, are there people that have got that genetics, but and have got the potential to beat you, but probably have not got the mindset and the training?
For sure. I mean, same thing, man. If you have a weak mind, you'll never perform in anything. You know what I mean? You're gonna crack under pressure. You know what I mean? It could not only be the weight, it could be the people in the stands looking at you. You know what I mean? They're not like a game day player. You know, like in football, you either rise to the occasion. You know, you play like a champion that day, or you know, you fail. You let the anxiety and stress and your nerves get to you. You know what I mean? And for me, that brings out the best in me. You know what I mean? I feel like that'll bring out super strength in me, you know?
Really?
But some people let it drain themselves, you know what I mean? They're so nervous, they drain their energy, drain everything. And that's in your mind. That's not something you could train your body for. That's telling your mind like, no, I got this, my training. It's all being confident, you know what I mean? Confident in your training and in yourself, you know?
So what sort of things do you do or say to yourself before those, you know, on that competition day? Do you sort of go away and sort of, you know, think about positive things or say stuff to yourself? What's that mental process like?
I use the same process again, like football. I replay the movement. Like in football, I'll replay the play over in my head, what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna tackle, and the same thing with the lift. Like if I'm gonna squat, I replay that squat form like about 1,000 times in my head. Like, you know, there's little things, you know, keep your back tight, you know, your core, all different little keys, you know, spread your knees when you get down to the bottom. And I just replay it in my head over and over. So by the time I hit the bar, I'm not even thinking, just my muscle mind memory is gonna shoot me up off the ground, you know?
Right.
So, yeah.
So there's no doubt in your mind when you step up to that bar?
No, I black out. I don't even know what's going on.
Really?
When that weight's on me, like, I just do it, and if I do it, I did it, and if I don't, then, you know, but I don't even think, you know. My mind goes blank when I'm out there. I just let my body remember the movement and everything I played in my head. I don't even think no more, you know.
Yeah.
It's just natural at that point.
So how do you deal with failure then? When you fail with a lift, what do you do? What do you say to yourself afterwards?
What do I say to myself? I don't really say anything to myself. It's just something that'll help me work harder. You know what I mean? Something that's just another goal that you want to achieve and conquer. But for the most part nowadays, you know, I just want to be healthy. You know, when I go do a big lift, if I don't do it, I know there's going to be another chance. You know what I mean? I'm consistent. I'm not afraid to keep trying and achieve the goal. So to me, it's just about being consistent. And if I come out of that lift healthy with no injuries, I'm good to go. I know I'm gonna get another chance. You know what I mean? I lived, I survived that, and I'm gonna give it another chance. You know?
Yeah.
So just being healthy for me is the main thing. You know, staying healthy in this game. A lot of people get injured. So.
Yeah, I get with that sort of weight. Then, how do you ensure that, you know, when you get to like 50s and 60s, you're still gonna be able to move like you do now?
Yeah. You know, the main thing is having a good program that you cycle your lifts. You're not gonna go heavy every single day. You know, we do like 3 week cycles. Like we'll go 3 weeks of kind of different phases. Like you'll do a volume phase, which is more sets and reps. Then you'll go down maybe the next week and do more reps, but more sets, but a lot less reps. Maybe you're only doing 2 reps per lift, you know? So, and then you're not always maxing out. You're doing, you know, you'll go heavier weight, you know, shorter sets, and then you'll switch it. You'll go a lot lighter weights with higher reps, you know? So you're always rotating. When I was younger, it was all about, I want to bench press, you know, 500 pounds every week. You know, I want to try to see if I got 500 pounds. We're not really getting stronger. You're testing your strength. When you're doing your max, you're testing your strength. You're not building it.
Right.
So
for people who are not obviously wanting to be powerlifters, but just
Yeah.
want to be a lot stronger, then is that a good way of cycling? So, you know, you do have the times when you're training very heavy, but then
Yes.
you also, you know, you have
do
your sort of
volume. You do volume training. Yeah, for sure. Volume training is what's gonna condition your muscles to get stronger.
Right.
You know, not just lifting your 1 or 2 rep max.
Right.
So it's good to test it when you're done with your volume training, but you don't want to just max out every single week. You know, that's how you get injured.
Right.
You know, when you max out, you're tearing your muscles down to the fullest, and it's hard to recover. You know, so unless you're super young, you're like, you know, 15, 16, 17, 18, probably up to like 25 or so, you know, you can recover a lot quicker. But I say after like 25, you know, getting my 30, you know what I mean, you don't recover as fast. You got to work smarter, you know?
Yeah.
So.
If people looked at you, they would think that you're probably not super fit and agile. And I've watched some YouTube videos. Is it called the J Prison workout or something on the beach? And you move like a ballerina, you know, like you're so light on your feet. How do you how have you got such size, but yet you're so agile?
Just like I said, years and years, my whole life was sports, you know, it's muscle memory. I was in sports and doing athletics before I ever started weightlifting, you know. So that was first my natural movement. Then I got stronger and bigger, and I kept some of those, you know, explosive movements and things like that. So it just carried over, just muscle memory. I don't do it often, but because I have that background, I always will be somewhat, you know, a little light on my feet, you know what I mean? I have a little explosion. So I think that's what helped with working out and being strong. A lot of people do powerlifting. They've never had any background in any sports. So when they lift, they're lifting at a, like very slow. Like they move it very slow, like they bench slow, like, you know, slow contraction. But with me, with sports, everything is explosion, you know? So when I lift, explosion, squats, explosion. And that generates more power, you know what I mean? So I already have like those fast twitch muscles in my body to be able to do that.
Yeah. And I guess a lot of young guys who want to be big and strong and are generally quite slow. So do you know, probably seeing all different sides, do you think that's probably just better all round to kind of keep that balance of athletic and power?
For sure. I always do little things, just like on, when was it, on Tuesday, I believe, I did some training with some world champion boxers and stuff, bunch of conditioning and training like that. So I like to test myself, you know what I mean? And like I said, I used to do nothing but that kind of training, so it's nice to go back to it. It's hard, I'm far from what I used to be, but definitely got a little bit of footwork in me and explosiveness still in me, you know? Yeah. So it's nice.
Yeah, I was watching you sparring with one of the, is he a world champion?
Yeah, he's 4-time. That's one of the guys I was with, Mikey Garcia. Yeah, 4-division world champion, never been done. Yeah, 4 championships. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. And yeah, pretty nifty footwork, I must say.
Yeah.
So taking the athletic side and then applying that to business, and particularly in terms of mindset, you know, business in a lot of ways is also quite challenging, you know, a huge amount of ups and downs and failures. Yeah. What's been your business journey then? How did you get into business, and what were some of the early days like starting that business?
Well, the first thing was, what I've learned now is that nowadays it's all about social media, right? Like, I don't want to say it's all about that, but that's a huge part of any business nowadays, because everything's through the internet, you know, through your phone or your computer. No one really looks at newspapers or magazines or things like that. Everything's through your phone. So the first thing I did, not knowing I was gonna do this yet, but I had built up my social media following, you know what I mean? So I built followers and people that just supported who I was, you know what I mean, and what I was doing. And when I got to that point is when I started my brand, you know, when I built up a following. Yeah, I mean, what I've learned is you could be the #1 guy at something, but if you don't have any people that support you or follow you in that way, you can't really showcase what you have or bring anything to the table. It sucks, you know what I mean? But you have to be able to market yourself and bring what, you know, your supporters want to see, you know what I mean, and create content. And that's a full-time job. People don't understand that, you know, but bringing content and new content all the time is, you know, can be tough. But that's what it takes to succeed in business, or especially this fitness industry to succeed. That's what you need, or that's what I've learned that I needed, you know.
So I follow you on Instagram, and you've got over like hundreds of thousands of followers, and I've seen your views, which are, you know, some pretty impressive numbers. How much time as a businessman and entrepreneur do you have to spend on making content and, you know, working on that brand building side of the business? Out of a typical
yeah.
week, what percentage?
Well, I film 4 days a week. So I have a full-time videographer 4 days a week, and we're filming anywhere from working out here in the gym to vlog style videos, maybe going out and eating, doing some kind of music videos, like we just went to go do the boxers. It's just about creating content. I mean, people that initially follow me and Strength Cartel is all about working out motivation, and that's what I'll always do because that's who I am. But I also, there's more to me than that. I like boxing, so I go do the boxing. I like music. I have a homie that does music, so we do music videos. I bring more than just the lifting. I bring in my lifestyle that I've lived my whole life also to this industry as a part of me, you know? So, man, hours, man, for sure.
Right.
Hours and hours a day. It doesn't stop. When you own your own business, you know, you don't have a clock out time, you know? If you got to do something at 2 a.m., you got to do that thing at 2 a.m. or wake up at 3 to do something, you got to wake up, you know? You're on all day.
Right. So a big part of you as leading the business as an entrepreneur is that brand building for your audience. Is that right?
For sure. That's what I do. That's my full-time job is to build my brand and create content, and also like the clothing. I have people that I pay to make me designs, and I tell them what I want, and like here in the warehouse, I have warehouse workers and people that run my website, all those type of things, you know. So I don't do everything, but I'm hands-on with everything.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you've learned in terms of social media? Because you've got this sort of magic situation that a lot of people would just die to have, you know, a great following. I've been to the trade shows, the Fit Expos, and I've seen people queuing for hours to get a picture taken with you guys.
It's crazy.
So you've created an amazing following. What from when you came into it, I guess maybe a little bit by accident, to where you are now, what have you learned that you now apply, you know, the little sort of secrets and recipes that, you know, make a work?
Well, the main thing is being myself, you know what I mean? I'm bringing something that's real, that the lifestyle I've been living my whole life, you know? So that's something that anybody that's gonna build their brand, they better build it to who they are. Because once you stop being who you were, who your brand was, people are gonna feel like you've lied to them, you know what I mean? So you better be your brand. That's like the main thing is, I'm gonna be my brand. I am, you know, before social media, this was me, you know what I mean? Tattoos, me, I've been tattooed, you know, since the last tattoo I got was like 23. My whole body was done. I was already living this life, so I was already working out. That was who I was. So I just put it out there to the world, and, you know, people supported, and people that maybe had similar backgrounds and similar interests followed and liked what I did, and I just put it out there as a brand and as a movement, you know, and especially my mom's Mexican, so this market and this in this industry hasn't been tapped in yet. It's been there, but no one has brought it to the light or brought it to the table yet, and I feel like that's a huge thing, and we got a lot of support from our people, you know what I mean? So that's a huge thing, and because of that, I like to give back. Like, we hold events here with you know, we give away free food. We give a whole day of free stuff here at this gym, you know what I mean? About like four times a year, you know what I mean? Every quarter. And that's a good feeling, just to give back from all the support and you know, love that people show us. Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy for sure. Like I said, like you said, it's been just about 3 years since I've had the brand. So and it's taken off, you know. Yeah. So,
and I've seen how much time you give to the people. We've stood, my wife and I've stood watching, and you know, you're there for. There's no stopping. You're just there for the people. You know, you could easily go off and take a break, but you're just there, signing, taking pictures, and you know, that's. You don't have to probably do that.
No, man. I mean, I'm no different than anyone that's coming to see me. I just have been dedicated, and I put it to the light, you know what I mean? I made something out of it, but I'm no different. I mean, like I said, just 3 years ago before the brand, I didn't even know what I was gonna do, you know what I mean? So every person that comes and waits in line for me or for all of us, I'm gonna show that respect to them, you know what I mean? And I'll stand there all day, you know, if I have to, and talk to every single one, because it's an honor for them to come to see me, you know what I mean? So I'll stay there as long as I need to, you know what I mean? I won't use the restroom if I don't have to, or eat or drink. I'm there for them because they came for me, you know, and that means a lot to me. So I'm no different than who they are. They can do the same thing. It's just how bad do they want it, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm there for them, man. That's the day for them, and I'm here to be there all day if I have to, you know?
I think that's an important thing, because particularly with Instagram as an example, you know, there's so many people creating a life, almost like a pretend life, you know,
yeah, for sure,
next to the cars or the airplanes or the money, and pretending to be something they're not. I guess what you're saying is look, you know, just this is me. I'm kind of opening up, and you're either going to like me and be into it, or you're not. That's
exactly 100%.
And I think that's quite nice and refreshing, to be honest.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, people do try to live that flashy lifestyle, and hey, maybe that's their marketing way, right? They fake it till they make it type thing, you know, and whatever, that's cool, you know. But for myself, I'm not about that, trying to be flashy and do that. I'm about the grind, about the hard work, and to show that I'm still working every single day, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's what I'm about. Yeah. So. And
the other takeaway I think it's important to mention, so what, you know, there's a lot of people, we get it all the time, they have these great ideas and these great products. What sounds like you've done is said, well, look, I've built my audience first. You've invested the time, you know, you've found that there's people that are interested in what you're about. And then it sounds like you've gone off and created a product for that audience. Tell me about how you went about, you know, deciding to start up an apparel company or a nutrition brand. How did you go about that? Was it easy? Was it more difficult? What was that story?
No, it wasn't too hard, because I had already been starting in this industry, like I said, about 5 years ago. So about 2 years before I started my brand, I was already kind of learning this fitness industry, you know what I mean? What works, what didn't, what will set me apart. I learned all those type of things, and I kind of seen what I would be up against and things like that, and studied everything and created something original, you know what I mean? Something against the grain, not going with the wood grain, but the exact opposite way, you know what I mean? And sometimes that'll either, you'll make it, or shoot, you're gonna flop, you know what I mean? People may not like that, but luckily no one's hit this market, and man, it's been growing rapidly. It's been great, you know what I mean? People showing a lot of support, so yeah, it like a good businessman told me, like, you want to do something that no one else is doing, or else you're gonna compete with everything that they're doing, you know what I mean? You do something that everybody's doing, now you're competing with hundreds of people, but you go do something different and new, and that's never been done. You're only in your own category, you know what I mean? So that was what I took from it, and that's what I try to do.
Yeah. So you've created a distinctive brand, you've built a following. What's your business model? Is it, you know, it's obviously online, but how do you sell through distributors? Are you direct to the end user? What's that business model
Most of our sales are online sales, but like here at the facility is Nutrition Zone. They own 30 stores in Southern California and a few in other states. So my product is in all their Nutrition Zones, brick and mortars. So that's a good revenue itself at wholesale. And then trade shows, of course, but our main thing is online, you know what I mean? Built through our YouTube channel and social medias, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I guess that business, the advantage of that, I guess, is the margins are pretty good by selling direct without...
Exactly. You sell wholesale, you're gonna get a lot smaller portion of the money, you know what I mean? But you generate to your online store, you're getting a lot more profit.
Right.
So.
And for people, I'm sure a lot of people are, you know, have dreams of having their own apparel line. What are some of the things that you didn't expect to happen and didn't quite go as well as planned in terms of your clothing line? Or were you just one of those lucky ones where it all went well?
Yeah, I would just say in the beginning, finding a consistent screen printer for your clothing, embroiderer, all those things. I probably switched 5-6 screen printers, 5-6 embroiderers, you know. Either they're slow, they don't produce good work. I mean, there was a lot of trial and error just with the people producing my clothing, you know what I mean? But now once I found them, now it's like clockwork, you know what I mean? It's easy. But in the beginning, yeah, it's a lot of trial and error. You want to get the best prices, the best quality, you know what I mean? You want the items to be here on time, a lot of that. But besides that, it wasn't too hard. Everything that I've created was already things that I was into my whole life. I just put it into play, you know what I mean? It's things I already liked, like a lot of like the colors, black and gray and white. I was a huge Raider fan my whole life when they're in LA, when I lived in LA. So everything revolved off that, you know what I mean? Where I'm from, San Clemente, SC. That's why I started Strength Cartel, SC. I just am put into action everything that's been in my life, my whole life, and put it into this brand now. You know what I mean?
So what does the 1903 mean? It's
the same thing that we use for San Clemente. The 19th letter in the alphabet is S, the third is C. So SC, Strength Cartel, San Clemente. So, that's how I went about everything. Everything's about my life, man. So that's why it's easy and it's real, Yeah.
And what about the design? Because your designs I love design.
Yeah.
They're very distinctive and they're brilliant. Are you the one behind it, or have you found a great designer that you partnered up with?
Almost, except one of my designers, he's actually in TJ, and he does lettering. He's one of the guys that does some of the lettering, but a lot of guys are just homies that I've had, and hey, check this out what I drew, like this right here. Didn't even charge me, just, hey homie, I drew this for you. It was dope. We gave it to the printer, vectorized it, and boom, we go shoot it to the screen printer, and it's gone. Yeah.
So it's just tapping into your community again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just bringing the life around me into this brand,
Right.
Yeah.
And what about finance? Because I know it's, you need cash to do this.
Yeah,
how did you go from what you did to being able to fund it?
Just, I've worked my whole life. Like before this, I was doing construction and things like that. And I had saved money, put to the side. I didn't know what I was gonna use it for. And I saved money and I flipped basically, like, we got our first 100 shirts, flipped the 100 shirts to 200. And instead of using the money, to live off, I've kept just increasing it, you know what I mean? Kind of like, it sounds bad, but like selling drugs, you know what I mean? You go sell a little half ounce, next you're gonna go get an ounce. You know what I mean? Then after that next ounce, you're gonna get 2 ounces. You know what I mean? You're gonna keep growing, and that's what I did with my brand. I just, I sold this many shirts. Then I flipped it double. Then I doubled it up, and I kept doubling it. So until now, it sustains itself. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, that's how I did it. All the money that I used for Strength Cartel, I put it right back into Strength Cartel. I lived like, I lived shitty for a while, studio, all that kind of stuff. Live, rough. I had my same car that I bought when I was like 19, and I lived rough, but it paid off, and now I can live more comfortable.
Yeah.
But
live
under your means, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because again, you see a lot of stories of people quickly succeeding and being very successful, but I haven't yet interviewed someone where it has been that easy. And although you've made it sound like it was quite easy, it sounds like every penny you've had to put it back, and you've had to live.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. I invested every profit that I made in Strength Cartel. I put it back in.
Right.
Yeah, that's how it grew.
And in terms of how much you put into your business, on a typical day, how many, what's your working week like? How many days do you work? How many hours in a day are you putting into building this business?
Like I said earlier, I mean, it don't stop for me. You know what I mean? Like, I came here earlier today, and we got like a hat shipment in. So I'm hands-on. Like, I got a guy that works back there, but I want to see myself. Let me make sure all these hats are in. Let me make sure they look good. You know what I mean? I'll go make sure the inventory's good. We'll have meetings upstairs about new designs, different events coming up. I mean, it's nonstop for me. Then, not only that, I'm like one of the faces. I have athletes, but I'm one of the main faces, obviously, of my brand. So I got to go put in work in the gym too. You know what I mean? To go create content and make sure that I'm staying strong and active and relevant in this game too. You know what I mean? So I don't have like a sales or marketing man that does that for me, and then I'm just an athlete working out. I do all aspects of it. Eventually I want to, you know what I mean? I haven't reached that point, but right now I do it all.
You do it all, yeah.
Yeah, except the background work. I have a lot of people that help me with the back end of the website and producing, what do you call it? I can't even think, like barcodes for my clothes, like everything for the back end of the website. I have someone that I pay for that. Right. But for marketing and sales and getting myself out there, it's all me.
Do you think the internet and social media has allowed you to create a different business than traditional apparel and nutrition companies?
For sure, yeah, for sure. Just like I said, building a following before starting the clothes, you already know that hopefully these people are going to support the movement that you bring to them and the brand that you bring to them. So definitely you don't, well, for a brand and for supplements, you do have to have lots of money and inventory, but at least you can kind of put it out there. Hey, would you guys like this? You know what I mean? And if they do, boom, okay, cool, I'm gonna print those. Oh, do you like this? No, I don't like that. No, you don't have to do that. So you kind of get a little bit of trial and error with social media and kind of get what your following likes and doesn't like, you know?
Which you probably couldn't get if you had to order 1,000 shirts
exactly.
and put it into a store, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think is the future of, I guess, traditional businesses that you probably kind of, well, maybe not compete, but are in your space and the way you've built your business?
The future of it?
Yeah, how do you think, do you think that those, I guess, traditional types of companies with traditional distribution models will be able to continue, or do you think, because you're one of the new types of companies doing things how you are,
online.
Do you think that's where the future's going?
Well, it definitely has been going there already, right? But I still think there's a lot of people that want it like instantly, so it's good to have it at the brick and mortar. So if they really want that pre-workout that day, they can go to one of the locations and get it. Some people don't want to wait to get it online. And then visual, you go to same thing, a Nutrition Zone store. You may not have ever seen my brand, but since it's in there, maybe it caught your eye or it's something that you're interested in. So I think there's still definitely a place for stores. But I know online is taken everywhere. People are also lazy and don't want to do those things, so they go to online. And obviously social media, it's in your face more. Everyone's on their phone. You go to Instagram, it's popping up. So that is a way of the future, what I've learned, but there's definitely a place for stores and to have it on hand. You know what I mean? To get your product on hand is also a big thing.
And what about brands that don't have that, I guess, personality behind it like you do? Because I guess there's a lot of, again, traditional fitness and apparel brands that probably don't have that culture to them. Do you think those types of companies need to evolve and, kind of?
I think what I've learned, that most big brands have like a big influencer behind them, I would say. Unless you're just, no, I couldn't even say that. I think every brand they may not have like their main person, but they may have multiple main people that are influencers that push their brand. You know what I mean? I think that's the only way, unless you just have some kind of super cool brand, I guess, that people really want. But I mean, if you look at Nike or anybody, they have top athletes that push their brand. You know what I mean? You have to have someone that pushes your brand. You know what I mean? That have to be your brand for sure.
Right.
Yeah, you have to have someone that, just says, when you look at that person, oh, okay, that's Nike right there, or okay, that's Strength Cartel right there. You know what I mean?
Right.
When they,
So I guess there's a story. I think what you're saying, and it's interesting to, I suppose, if you think about creating a product, because there's probably lots of nice, protein or really good products, or even nice T-shirts. But I think what you're doing, and I suppose comparing it to Nike, is you're attaching a movement, a story to it. So it's not really the product they're buying into that way of life. Is
100%. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yep.
So what's next for you? You talk about potential, the gyms and that. Where do you want to go next?
I would obviously like to open up my own gym. You know what I mean? That'd be nice, and that'd be more of a marketing thing and something to have for the brand. And you know, for the guys to come lift. But just for the overall brand, I would like to get it more known across the whole U.S. and worldwide. You know what I mean? I'd like to continue to just spread the word and spread the movement around everywhere. That's how the brand's gonna grow. You know, so doing expos is a huge thing for us. It allows people to see us in person and interact and get to know us on like a personal level, you know what I mean? And let them know we're just normal people just like them. So if I could do expos in Europe or, you know, or in other countries, that'd be like great. That's one of my goals, is to get overseas this next year, you know, to get to at least to the expos to see our brand and see our face, you know what I mean? So that's a goal of mine for next year.
So if anyone's listening and wants to partner up in Europe or Asia.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's do it. I'm ready for that.
Yeah. So what's driving you to continue to do this? I know obviously you're very passionate about what you do, but what from a business perspective, what drives you to continue to go and build it?
You know, to provide for your family, to be successful, you know, live without struggle and stuff, like how I've lived growing up, and live comfortable, and also just create like awareness to working out to people that may came from my background that wasn't into working out and more of the street lifestyle, and let them know like, hey, you know, come work out, and it's a positive thing that can change your life. You could generate your energy into the gym, then generate your energy doing something negative, you know what I mean? So I really love that. I really love hearing stories of how people like change their life. You know, they found us and they could relate and they changed their life, you know, because of what we've been doing. That's like awesome to hear every time. Yeah. So the more people that can change their life for the better, man, that's a huge thing for me too. You know what I mean? I love trying to help and give back.
Right.
So
what would you say to, I guess, a younger person that's probably, you know, in a job that they're not quite like, or they've not achieved what they want in life? Is getting to where you have, you know, is it possible for everybody?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, like I told you, man, I never would have thought I was here. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's definitely possible. It's just what you want and how much time, you know, you're gonna be putting into it. Like I was saying earlier, I've been lifting my whole life. I may not have known that I was gonna create this brand and supplement brand, you know, years and years later down the line. But I was dedicated to this craft, working out, my whole life. You know what I mean? I've been dedicated and have never strayed away from it. And it led me to what I was, you know, what I'm doing now. And I was ready for it at the time period, you know? So I would just, whatever that you love doing and that you really have a desire to do, just stick to it. And, you know, it may not come overnight or a year or two, but being consistent over and over and over, you'll achieve it, you know what I mean? But you gotta be persistent with it, you know, just ruthless in whatever you want to do. Yeah.
And if there was a few sort of small steps, so from being on the couch, dreaming about, you know, looking at you and saying, I wish I could do that, what would be a few first things that they could take away from this and say, right, I'm gonna get up and do a couple of things? What would you advise someone? I know it's a difficult question, but
yeah, I would just say, just get up and do something, you know what I mean? I mean, there's nothing really I could say. I mean, just what you have in your mind, just put it into action, you know what I mean? Get up and do it. Whether, you know, you want to start your own fitness brand, start off in the gym, you know, better yourself first, you know, work out, you know, have in your mind what you want to create as your brand, and yeah, just go out and do it. Better yourself first, you know what I mean? Get your body ready, your mind ready, and then I think things come into play after that, you know? But I would just say, just get going, you know? Get off the couch, get going.
Get going.
Yeah.
And I think your advice as well earlier on is a good one, is to start building that brand, even if, as you say, probably just, even if it's a few people in the gym, just starting building, you know, putting your time building people, building an audience.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that whatever, you know, even if you're just selling 2 or 3 t-shirts or whatever in a gym, it's you're starting that process.
You gotta have something behind it, man. There's gonna be 10 million people with a shirt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How many, like, everyone can have a shirt, you know, but what's behind that brand, you know what I mean? What do you represent, you know? Where do you want to take this? What do you represent with this brand? Just because it says gains on it, what is this thing, you know what I mean? they're not gonna like it. Some people may just like it because it looks cool, you know. But for the most part, people want some kind of like substance behind the brand. You know what I mean? They want to know, do you really back this? Is this your lifestyle? Is this what you really believe in and what you live every day? You know what I mean? And I think people want to see that. Anyone can just go make a brand and be like, oh yeah, it's my brand. You know what I mean? Check it out. That's cool. Well, what's it represent? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what you gotta, you know, that's what you gotta figure out what you want to do.
And I think there's probably an edge of just being yourself, even though that might be a small group of people. It's like, well, where you're from. You know, you've obviously used where you're from as a big part of what you're doing. You know, maybe people don't think where they're from is a great place, but there's a lot of people who probably live there and don't be afraid to do that, rather than trying to be big boy as an example. And you're not going to pull it off, are you?
And yeah, no, definitely. So yeah, you got to be yourself, man. Bring something to your brand that has to do with you. You know, I think that's one of the best things that you can do. You know, bring some kind of passion or some kind of previous experiences or whatever, something about you, bring it to your brand. You know what I mean? So it can be a part of you, and the brand will be successful, and I think will be believable and things like that. You know.
Yeah. So. And it's easier for you to be you than someone else.
No, that's for sure. That's 100%.
So before I ask the last question, where can people find about you? What are you doing this year? What events you're doing? What's your website? I'd like people who don't know about you to find more about you. You
can find me at strengthcartel.com. Find the supplements, clothing, everything on there. We do online training as well. So you can find everything at strengthcartel.com. My YouTube is this Big Boy, or you can type in Big SC Boy, YouTube. Same with Instagram at Big SC Boy. And Instagram for Strength Cartel, Strength Cartel, or Strength_Cartel.
Right. Okay.
For Strength Cartel, yeah.
And if people want to get hold of the product, distribute the product, they can.
Oh yeah, you go to strengthcartel.com and fill out a wholesale application.
Right.
So we have a lot of people that do that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So last question. So Escape Your Limits is about escaping what probably you personally have believed in the past is impossible, or maybe other people have said that's impossible. What would be a recent example of you escaping your own personal limits?
I mean, just having my own brand, and also like being the representative of my own brand. I was always kind of like, I never really liked to put myself out there back then, you know what I mean? I was always like, I didn't like social media, and I didn't like to put my information out there and things like that. So that was definitely something I overcame, and now look at, I'm creating videos all the time, and it's all about myself and the brand with the guys and all that. So that was a limit that I never knew I'd cross. I never thought I'd be a face of a big brand, you know what I mean, that I would create. I mean, I never thought that. So that's definitely a limit that I overcame. In school, I hated, like, you know, doing the speech or things like that. So I hated all that stuff. But it's like anything, you be consistent at something, it gets easier, and yeah.
And did you, in terms of you in front of camera, because I know a lot of people, you're great in front of a camera. I've watched a lot of your videos, but were you pretty crap at the beginning? Have you got better at it?
Oh, for sure, yeah, for sure. I mean, I would be super nervous, you know what I mean? Just say one or two words and not know what to do or say or react. But it's like anything, like I just said, being consistent and just putting yourself out there over and over and over, it gets easier. You know what I mean? Just like anything you do, you know, when you learn to tie your shoe, you don't know how to tie it good, but you tie it 1,000,000 times, now it's easy, you know? Yeah. So that's similar to this. I'm still learning. Like I said, it's only been about 3 years, you know? So I'm very still fresh and learning, but definitely gets easier over time.
Yeah. Well, you got an incredible story, and I guess some of the things that you probably don't appreciate that you've got, you know, as looking in, you know, you've built a great business. I think you've certainly, you know, what I've noticed is being your authentic self and sort of, you know, sharing that has been a big part of your success, and using that to build your brand, because I think so many people try and polish up their image and pretend to be something, and I think, you know, that's certainly a key ingredient of what you're doing, and I think that's different to what you see out there. And I think the other thing is you've been very innovative, you know, looking at a lot of things you're doing, even going to the lowrider show. I think,
Yeah.
you know, and I've seen you at shows and how you stand out, and whether that's intentional or whether that's just in your DNA, but I guess the constant innovation and breaking all the rules has been another thing I've certainly seen that's caused you to stand out. It's certainly got my attention.
Appreciate that.
And I think they're great lessons for anyone in business as well. So like I say, you've got a great business, and I'm sure you've got a fantastic future ahead of you.
That.
And I appreciate your time today. Thank you very much,
Thank
big
you.
boy. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Cheers.
All
Thanks. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, then please go over to iTunes and subscribe to the Escape Your Limits podcast. Leave a review, leave a comment. It really would help us a lot to continue to keep these going.